Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. Man, you saw the title of the video. Joe Rogan praises Katt Williams. Dave Chappelle attacks Katt Williams. This is so left field. I did not see this coming at all. I thought Dave might make some jokes about this. But listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play the Joe Rogan clip first. Then I'm just going to go through some connecting the dots. I'm going to play a series of clips of Katt Williams talking first, and then I'm going to play what Dave Chappelle had to say. And the reason that I'm doing that is because when you hear what Dave Chappelle has to say, the rest of the clips are going to start to make perfect sense to you. I think his take on what Katt Williams did in this interview is completely off base. I don't know if he's trying to work out a bit. I'm not sure what it is, but he messed up on this one, which happens. He's just a person. He's the king of comedy. I really do believe that. But Katt is a close second, and what he had to say about Katt Williams just didn't add up to me. Not at all. Let's get into it. Don't forget about IamCoachColin.com. Discount code is IamCoachColin, all capital letters, all one word, one L in the name, Colin. We got Sold Not For Sale. We have The Great Resist, and of course, Public Enemy #1. Get yours now. Let's get into this first clip.
Mark Curry's the man.
Mark Curry's a sweetheart. I just bumped into him.
Do you have his number?
No.
I got to get his number.
I got him into the haha, and then he was working a little at the store before the pandemic hit.
My man Willie D reached out to me the other day, and he said that he saw him and said Mark Curry was on fire. Mark Curry was opening up for Katt. He said it was insane.
No, it's 40 years of stand-up. What do you expect?
Oh, Mark was
always
underrated.
a killer.
So underrated. So we'd see him at the store. He was so polished. But you know what? He just made a ton of money off that show. I was like, I'm good. I'm a chill.
He's a great guy, too.
Yeah. The best. Nicest guy in the world.
Nicest guy in the world. Always great to young comics. When I walked in the store, he was always very nice.
Great to everybody. You didn't have to earn a conversation with him. He'd talk to door people.
So Mark Curry is opening for Katt on the road.
Yeah. At least that show in Austin.
And did they do the Moody?
I don't know what he did. Did a big place, though. Katt's killing it. It's just like his ticket sales went up like 800%. HEB Center. Yeah, so they did the big place. That's that 15,000 seat place. Look at that. Come on, son. Let's go.
I always loved Katt.
I love Katt.
So I don't know.
He did that interview. He said I wouldn't have him on. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'll have you on. Let's go.
2 times.
Anytime.
I'll have you on.
Whenever you want to come by, call me. I'll fire this place up at 3 a.m. for you. I'll wake up. I'm always into doing something. I think we're going to get a studio downtown. I think I'm going to get a studio in one of the penthouses with a view so I could do nighttime podcasts. Like after the podcast or after the shows. Like say if we do a 7 o'clock show at the mothership, hey, let's just go fuck around. Let's go do a podcast for a couple
we did
hours.
at Ice House.
Exactly.
Those are great days.
Those are great days. When Red Band had that cool studio right there at the
and
Ice
go
House.
in and out.
Mm-hmm. And we would go on the stage on Ice House Chronicles. We had a good time.
I wonder what the Ice House looks like now.
It's supposed to be nice.
Really nice.
It's very cleaned up. A lot of guys don't like it because they miss the dirt. I get it. You miss it was an old club. It was the longest running club in the country. The Ice House was. Yes, Ice House was the longest running stand-up comedy club in the country. It was older than the store. Ice House existed before the store. And it was originally an actual ice house where people would go to get ice. And then it became like some sort of rock and roll club. And then it became a comedy club in the early 70s. Been a comedy club forever. The longest running comedy club even before the store.
It really was a gem.
Oh, it was amazing.
That club was a gem, and I'll tell you why.
So, I just wanted to hear that about the Ice House because I didn't know about that. And the Ice House is a historic place. Historic. If you get to go to the Ice House, touch the stage. Just go like this to the stage. Don't lick your hand after or anything. Just go like that to the stage. You've touched Eddie. You've touched Eddie Griffin. You've touched Katt Williams. You've touched Dave Chappelle. You've touched Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz. Name it. So historic. But I just wanted to play that clip quickly because Joe kind of echoes what he said in that tweet. He wanted to have Katt Williams on, and I was like, okay. But he also said that Katt Williams was in Austin. So Katt was here. So here's what either happened. Either Joe Rogan has already done an episode with Katt Williams and didn't say anything, which is kind of out of brand right now because if you're watching Joe Rogan close on Instagram, he's starting to announce podcasts before they happen. He's starting to show pictures with people, the day of the podcast, this, that, so I don't know. But if Katt Williams was there and he did the show, well, then that's going to be incredible. That's going to be wild because if he sits down with Joe for 3.5 hours, it's going to be mind blowing. It's going to go deep. And Joe's probably going to try and push back and Jamie probably won't be able to find some of the things Katt Williams talks about, but it's still going to go crazy. Now, moving on from there, he also said Willie D reached out. Now, if you don't know who Willie D is, here's the connection that I'm making. Katt Williams did that interview that he did, the crazy interview, right? And then the next interview he did, a lot of people don't know, was with someone named Willie D. You can go check that out. It was like an hour and 15, maybe an hour and a half interview, and it was more introspective. They got to talk more about Katt and him coming up as a child into comedy, everything like that, more than they were just talking about people, but they still did some of that as well. It was a great interview. So the fact that Joe says he needs Mark Curry's number, Mark Curry's opening up for Katt, they were both just in Houston. They either did the show or didn't do the show. Not really sure. He's talking to Willie D. All of these things line up that show me either Katt has already been on the podcast or he's about to be on the podcast, because why wouldn't you have Katt Williams on the podcast? He's incredible. Now, the other thing that he said is that he might open up a nighttime studio. That's really wild. And I'm about to show you a bunch of clips in a second. I just want to break this down. This is really wild that he said he might open up a nighttime studio, because this might be in preparation for him leaving Spotify. If he does, I don't know, but the renewal is up soon. So either he goes with Spotify again, or he goes old school, wild Rogan, and he just maybe goes on YouTube, maybe starts a subscription service like so many people are doing, and just goes all out. I don't know. Or maybe he's just really rich and he's like, I'm going to buy a penthouse and make it into a studio and do some fun things in there. I don't know. But I know one thing. If you were planning on leaving Spotify, you'd have to expand and start doing some different stuff. So I'm starting to see that. Now, every time somebody is in town, they do the show. So if Katt Williams didn't do the show, like Bobby Lee was recently on. He did the show, but he had a show in Austin. If you're a comedian and you go to Austin, you want to go to Rogan's Club because it's what everybody talks about. Austin has become this epicenter of comedy. So everybody wants to check it out. And then also, if you're big enough, you want to go on Rogan's show as well. So if Katt was there, he didn't perform at the mothership, and he didn't do Rogan's show. That makes me think, like, is it Rogan's doing or is it Katt's doing? I think it might be Katt's doing, because I think Katt Williams already views Rogan as a gatekeeper. So he kind of looks at him and says, yeah, you say you want me on your show, but I'm not really sure. Now, let's get into who has attacked Katt Williams. Boom, the first culprits. Of course, the attacks start anytime you stand up to the authorities, to the people in charge. Anytime you do that, there's always attacks coming. Tucker Carlson, he decided to walk away from Fox. Well, he got fired, but he decided to keep on pushing forward and not stop. He got attacked right away. They started branding him as a racist. They started leaking text messages. They started leaking footage that shouldn't have been leaked. Media Matters had a hand in that. They were doing all sorts of stuff to him. This is no different. So the attacks have started here. This is an SNL skit. And let me tell you, this is the longest that I've ever watched SNL because it sucks. Now, let's get into it.
Broke the internet, Katt.
So, of course, here's the thing. I know somebody might watch this and be like, this is nothing, you know? It's really not nothing. You see what they made sure to do? They can't get Katt Williams in a dress, but they'll make sure, because, you know, SNL, completely bought and paid for, completely compromised. They go along with the agenda. They push the agenda. They make fun of the people who, for all, I shouldn't say shouldn't be made fun of, but people who are standing up to certain things, stand on a certain side of politics. They go after those people. They try to make them look ridiculous. Now, they can't get Katt in a dress, but they made sure to have a female actor play him. Katt didn't lie about anything, but they made sure to show in this clip that he's a liar. They just made sure of it. So it's a little ridiculous, but yeah, that's SNL. SNL is garbage, so that happens. Now, let's get into the next clip. Before we get to the Dave Chappelle stuff, I just want to play some stuff that Katt Williams said. Not too much, but just some of the things he said. Now, here's something where he's talking about Cedric the Entertainer. If you don't know about him, he's a comedian. He's been one for about like 20, maybe 30 years. He's okay. I used to like Cedric the Entertainer growing up, but here's what Katt Williams had to say about him. Here,
Cedric told you when you asked him, did you steal Katt Williams' joke? Yeah. He said, it don't line up. How it don't line up that I did it on TV in 2018? You came to see me at the Comedy Store do it in 2019 and then did it on the Kings of Comedy. Like, what doesn't line up? This is a televised joke that Mark Curry helped me punch up and get to the level that it was. The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business. And it's a man unit. Then you ask it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good, baby, and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none. You would have to have range.
So that's him talking about Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer, right? And everybody knows there's a whole bunch of this. Now, I'm just going to play this real quick because he brought up Mark Curry and he brought up Steve Harvey. Now, everybody just kind of didn't understand what was happening when he did this interview. There's beef between these guys. Katt Williams did not lie about this. This is Mark Curry talking about Steve Harvey.
So what's up with you and Steve, man?
Ain't nothing with me. Well, Steve stole my material on his show, so I had a beef on that.
On what show?
When he was on the bullshit talk show he had, and he did all my Halloween material one Halloween. I'm watching. Somebody called me and said, "Man, homeboy doing your material." So he did my whole Halloween run. And I know he didn't think of it. This is true stuff that really happened to me. And so my thing is, you don't have to do that, homeboy. Yeah. Right. So, motherfucker, you made enough money, bitch ass.
Wow. So what's up with you and Steve?
Man, when you call somebody a bitch ass, there's actual beef between you guys. Like, absolutely. Let's get into this clip right here. Now, again, this is just more of Katt Williams talking about certain people. Now, again, I'm going to be showing you the Dave Chappelle clip. It's coming up. We'll get to it. And, of course, you can always just go to the end if you really want to. But I'm just trying to build up a case for my take on what Dave Chappelle has to say. Now, this is Katt Williams talking about Ludacris.
No, so there was a crossroads where we were both invited to an Illuminati thing. And it had to be one or the other of us, and decisions had to be made. So it was both of us, we were equal. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more with the points. And the next person, they said, was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Katt Williams. Now, one person ended up with a light-skinned, ugly-faced wife that's never done it. Remember I told you that if I say that, it applied to 7 people? Yes. It's part of what they give you. Okay? I didn't get it. I'm not mad about it.
How much money they give? 200?
Sir, Fast and Furious is on what number right
10.
now?
10. 200 million, I might need to get me one of them old women look the same.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't going to wear no dress until they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you?
I love that I paused it right there. Yes. And again, no one, Ludacris did respond to this, but Ludacris could have just said, "You're lying. That's wrong. We were never in a room together. There was nothing like that happen." But instead he made some weak rap where he was like, "Oh, quit all this Illuminati mess." And it was a terrible rap. And again, it didn't say at any point in time that Katt was lying. And if you look into a lot of what he's saying, it is kind of part of what they give you. There is kind of a little setup that they have where they give you certain things. You do a certain thing and you get certain things. I can go into this at length when it comes to Hollywood. I'll say this. I'll just say this. People pass away all the time. But anytime you see it happen to somebody, and you can really see this in the hip hop community because it happens at a higher rate, somebody will have someone close to them pass away. All I'll say, I won't even get into the conspiracy of it all. All I'll say is watch that person's career afterwards. It's like clockwork. They hit a certain point, someone passes away, career skyrockets. Watch. It's never not happened with one person. It's always so quick. And it happens like clockwork. Again, it's part of what they give you, and it's part of what they take from you as well, because that's how Hollywood works. Now, that was him talking about Ludacris. We're going to get to the Dave Chappelle in a second. Now, this is him just talking a little bit about Kevin Hart, and this is actually quite interesting.
Heard of a comedian that came to LA, and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading. What do you think a plant is? And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves. They have all the assets and resources and we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't. Wow. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian that's bitter and jealous. But in my face, no.
It's very, I love that I paused it right there. That's Kevin Hart watching him say that. But in all honesty, when you do think about industry plants, that's something that exists heavily in the music industry. You'll see it all the time. The Catch Me Outside girl was an industry plant. That positioned her to move into music, which she did. If you don't know, she's released albums and they've done quite well because, streams are, everything's played with a little bit. And then that turned into her doing a career in OnlyFans and stuff. But you do see a lot of industry plants constantly. You'll see them pop up. They're everywhere. They're in every single movie. The Rock is a great example. And I bring that up because he goes hand in hand with Kevin Hart. They're in all sorts of things together. And again, you watch Kevin Hart do the dress thing that he said he wouldn't do. Career skyrocketed. Did it skyrocket because SNL made such a funny skit about Kevin Hart in a dress that everyone in Hollywood said, man, that guy's got some range. He dressed up as a lady in a dress. Oh, man, I got a role for him. It's like, come on. And again, Kevin Hart did not call him a liar. And it does make sense that he's an industry plant. He's not funny. He's not a funny guy. His stand-up isn't funny. It's not ha-ha funny. It's just not. Name one of his jokes. Say it to the screen now. Yeah, I know. I don't know one either. Don't feel bad. Now, last clip, then we're going to jump over to the Dave Chappelle attack of sorts. Just him talking about Steve Harvey. Actually, you know what? He already did the Steve Harvey one. You already heard him say that. Now, I play all of this just to give some background so people understand why am I showing all this. You'll understand right now as I show you Dave Chappelle talking about Katt Williams. Now, this is one of the rare moments where somebody sneaks a phone in to a Dave Chappelle performance, because usually Dave Chappelle, unless he's not running this show, usually Dave Chappelle has people keep their phones away. Now, here's Dave Chappelle talking about Katt Williams.
He only eats the niggas. He didn't say anything about any of these white boys. And none of these white boys function like that. And Katt is one of the best painters in the game. So why are you drawing all ugly pictures of us? Stop. And Katt and hurt people, but I'm a hurt person that never hurt people. And he does it all the time. Fuck this one and fuck that one and fuck this one. But nigga, I didn't hear anything that you did wrong. He didn't do nothing wrong. Katt didn't do nothing wrong.
MREC TV.
I'm gonna bring a picture of a black guy. Katt did this to me. Katt was talking about shit that niggas did to other niggas, but not about anything that niggas did to him. If I told my story, it would break your heart. Your heart. If I told my story, it would break your heart. I lost everything and never, ever told on anybody. And this nigga is the arbiter of truth. Katt, listen, I fuck with Katt hard.
MREC TV.
Wait, D-Ray, just tell me, what part of the game fucks up another nigga's paper? What part of the game is about tilling on another nigga? Tiffany Haddish is lifting something heavy, and as clumsy as she is, I don't disagree with Katt. He be telling the real shit. This one's fucked up this way, and that one's fucked up this way. Yes, nigga, that is true. But why would you say that? Because all of us are trying to be in a better situation. Can we get over it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that's a whack take. I really do. I think that's a really whack take. He's like, why are you painting such bad pictures of us talking about black people? Like, why didn't he talk about any of the white boys? Here's the thing. If you have if you're a black person and you have a problem with a bunch of black people, are you going to just start problems with the white boys as well, just to even it out so it's fair? No. Who are you dealing with? Katt Williams is he can work a white crowd, a black crowd. He can work any crowd. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's hilarious. But Katt Williams is known high above every other community. He's known in the black community. You can look at him and say that is a black comedian. He plays well. He has a lot of black comedy. He can do anything, and his jokes go for everybody, obviously, because he's a professional. But he's in the black industry. He's around the black actors, the black comedians. Why wouldn't he talk about them? He's learned about what they do. Why wouldn't he talk about them? He had a bit where he talked about a Diddy party where he saw two guys doing some really weird stuff, and it was two black guys. Why wouldn't, now he has to find something out about some white guys just to even the score? That's nonsense. And Dave's almost taking this attitude like, oh, he's tearing down the black community. Let me tell you something about these Hollywood people. They're not the black community. They are not. Tiffany Haddish doesn't care about the black community. Kevin Hart does not care about the black community. They're not the black. They're Hollywood. They're in Hollywood. And if Katt Williams knows about stuff they did, then that's what he's going to talk about. Imagine every single time he learns something about a black person, he goes, oh, let me go out of my way to learn something about a white person. Like, what? Why? He's dealing with these guys. And the thing about it is, he said that he's talking about people who did stuff to other people, but not people who did things to him. But now, when you hear that Joe Rogan clip that I played and that Mark Curry clip that I played, you can see why he's talking about Steve Harvey. He just talked about Mark Curry being a guy who helped him write jokes. Now Mark Curry is opening for him while he's doing 15,000 people venues. He is obviously good friends with Mark Curry. And what happened to Mark Curry? He had his material stolen by Steve Harvey. So of course he's going to touch on Steve Harvey. Cedric the Entertainer actually did say a bunch of stuff about Katt Williams and did steal jokes from Katt Williams. So again, Dave Chappelle's wrong about that. So obviously you're going to defend your friend who no one really talks about anymore. And it's amazing that Joe Rogan even brought him up. You know, Mark Curry doesn't get his due. He was a funny guy and he had a great show. Like, I used to watch his show growing up when I was a kid. And I never watched Steve Harvey's show because I was like, this is like the same thing, but weirder. It's different, you know? So Dave Chappelle's wrong on that. Mark Curry's his boy. Cedric the Entertainer actually did steal things from him. And when he talks about Kevin Hart, he talks about Kevin Hart because, and this is the weirdest thing, because he messes with Dave Chappelle so heavily. And somehow Kevin Hart, because he is this industry plant, gets put on a higher pedestal at times. And I know you're like, no, he doesn't. Yes, he does. The fact that he had this tour put him above everybody in comedy tours. That comedy tour that he did, that was $100 million plus, got compared to Eddie Murphy. Kevin Hart is not to be put on a pedestal near Eddie Murphy or Dave Chappelle, but because he's in so many movies and he's doing things with The Rock and he's wearing the dresses and he's making the connections, he's being put on that level. That shouldn't happen. Someone who's like Katt Williams, who should be in a conversation with Dave Chappelle, and now after seeing this, I don't know, Katt Williams might get put above Dave Chappelle because he's really keeping it real. There's no images of him in a dress. And the last video I did about Katt Williams, I thought Dave Chappelle never wore a dress. He actually wore one in Robin Hood, and he actually wore another one with Howard Stern. Look up Dave Chappelle in a dress for Howard Stern. It is atrocious. It's atrocious. I'm not even going to get into it. He's wearing makeup. He's wearing women's earrings. He's wearing lipstick. It's just wild. He's wearing like fake prosthetic. It's sad. It's sad. But of course, Katt Williams is going to address that as well. Like, this is like, I don't know that and then to bring up Tiffany Haddish and say she's holding something heavy. She's just another plant that just decided to do the things that she was told to do. This is not something heavy. This is not the black community. This is people who are sacrificing their integrity to the Hollywood elite, like what the Hollywood elite has to do in order to get ahead. That's all these people are doing. Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, Steve Harvey, all these people. Why wouldn't he address that? And then on top, again, why would he have to address white people? Just because? He has to go find out some stuff about Brad Pitt or or Joe Rogan, which he did call out Joe Rogan. Funny enough, he actually did call out a white comedian on that same interview. He called out Joe Rogan, and he called 6 of Joe Rogan's friends people who have never been funny a day in their lives. So what's Dave Chappelle talking about? I don't know. I just think it's a whack take. And people were even calling him out. I don't know what show this was, but it was like the crowd was interacting. And Dave Chappelle sitting there saying Katt did nothing wrong. Well, what did Katt do? What did he do? Like, I don't get it. Like, yeah, he messed up, this, that. And then I'll say another thing. Dave Chappelle said, if I could tell my story, I never talked about anybody. Yes, he did. He actually did. When that whole thing happened, he went to Africa. He called out Neil Brennan, the co-creator. Because when Neil Brennan was asked if Dave Chappelle was actually smoking crack in Africa, or if he had ever smoked crack, Neil Brennan, who was with Dave Chappelle for 20 hours a day because they were shooting the second season of the Chappelle Show, said, I don't know. He's with them all the time. They were like best friends. And when asked about that, he said, I don't know. And Dave Chappelle called that out. He said, how could you do that? How could you say that? And then he also addressed Charlie Murphy and Donnell Rawlings actually doing the third season of the Chappelle Show, which was basically 2 people hosting and just putting Dave's work out there without Dave's permission, really. So he did actually call out people throughout his journey. I'm sure there's more people he could have called out. And you know what, I'll say again, he even called out Jordan Peele, Peele and Keel. I never watched the show. Key and Peele, I think that show. He said he had to watch those guys do his shows for years because they stole his idea and they just did his show. So he did call people out. So I don't think there should be any attack on Katt Williams. But again, from me doing this show, Joe Rogan talks about it all the time on his podcast. You get this unlikely education, this weird education as you watch things so closely. I'm starting to see, like, you know, Kevin shouldn't have wore the dress, but Dave did. He wore the dress. He's still the best comedian, no matter what. I could say whatever. He's still the greatest, but, you know, Katt Williams has stood tall on everything that he said. No one has called him a liar. Dave Chappelle didn't even call him a liar, said he didn't even disagree with him, but he's still doing the attacks. And I only say that to say these plants run deep. Even if you do walk away from the 50 mil, you came back and then got the 50 mil. I don't know. But either way, like the title of the video said, Joe Rogan praises Katt Williams, Dave Chappelle attacks Katt Williams. Very interesting developments. Soon we'll see Katt Williams on Joe Rogan. I'm sure of it, unless Katt is just too busy. And yeah, hopefully he addresses the whole Dave Chappelle thing. But again, I'll even say, as I'm saying everything, Katt Williams has the utmost respect for Dave Chappelle. And he's talked about his situation at length. And throughout that interview, he didn't bring up Dave Chappelle. That's another reason why I think this take on this is whack. He didn't bring you up. He brought up Kevin Hart. Now, Dave Chappelle has aligned himself with Kevin Hart, says he's great friends with Kevin Hart. Okay, I get it. Dave Chappelle's also pictured with Lil Nas X. He's defending Tiffany Haddish. It's like, inside of me, I say, what side are you on? What's going on? What side are you on? You know? I've heard so many conspiracies about him, and I always push them to the side. Just like when I hear conspiracies about him, I look at it with a watchful eye and I analyze the information, but I always want to push it aside. But this stuff like that makes me say, what side are you on? This guy did nothing but speak truth, and that's what you have to say towards him speaking truth. Why didn't you say anything about the white boys? Why are you saying this about us? It's nonsense. Anyways, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Other than that, I am out.